Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Today's game has Jan from the Spike Feeders joining us, and he wins the die roll, starting us off. He draws and plays a command tower. I play a tap Vernal Fen. Ben's got a Mosswort Bridge and hides away a card. Sammy draws and plays a Blood Crypt. Jan's land for turn is Exotic Orchard, and he casts Farseek and passes. I play Dragonskull Summit and ship it. Ben plays a tap Myriad Landscape, passing turn. Sammy draws and plays a command tower, and then casts a Charismatic Conqueror and passes. Jan's got a Brushland, and pays enough for a Fight Rigging and passes. I play Tainted Peak and casting a Sprouting Goblin, kicking it. I have the Goblin enter tap because of the Conqueror, and go and find a forest to hand and pass. Ben plays a forest and casts Hauntwood Shrieker, which he has entered tapped as well. Sammy's got a Haunted Ridge and has enough mana for Zurgo. He then hits Jan for 2 with the Conqueror and ships it. Jan draws and casts Tidus. He doesn't have it come in tapped, so Sammy gets a Vampire, and going to combat, Jan puts a counter on his commander with Fight Rigging and passes to me. I draw, cast a Tireless Tracker, and then play Sulphurous Springs and make a Clue token, all of which come in tapped. Ben's got an island and swings the Hauntwood Shrieker at me. I take the hit, and Ben gets to Manifest Dread. He then casts Hide in Plain Sight and passes. Sammy's got a Raushus Theater for turn, surveilling 1, and then casts Windcrag Siege, choosing Mardu. He swings Zurgo and the Conqueror at Ben, and he gets 2 Mobilize triggers, sending a soldier at Jan and I. Jan and I both take the 1, instead of giving Sammy cards by blocking, and Ben takes the hit for 5. After that, Sammy sacrifices his 2 mobile soldiers, dealing 2 to each of us, and passing. Jan draws and casts Summon Yojimbo, exiling Zurgo as it enters. He keeps it untapped, which gives Sammy a Vampire token. And Jan then puts a counter onto Tidus with Fight Rigging, and moves a loyalty counter off of Yojimbo onto his commander. He then swings Tidus at me for 5, and I take the hit. Jan then draws a card and Proliferating from connecting, and in his second main phase, plays a Nesting Grounds and passing. I draw and cast a tapped Hearthhull, and then play a forest and pass. Ben's got his commander Zimone coming in, and he plays a Vibrant Cityscape and Manifest Dread. He then goes to combat, sending the Hauntwood Shrieker and his 2 mysterious creatures at Sammy. This has Ben manifesting Dread from the Shrieker, and he has it come in untapped so Sammy gets a Vampire. And Sammy uses his 3 Vampire tokens to triple block the Shrieker. Sammy does take 4 though, and after combat, Ben cracks his Vibrant Landscape to go and find a forest. This triggers Zimone, and he gets to flip face up AC. He then gets to play a forest as his second land for turn, which in turn flips up a Sandward Convergence. He moves to his end step, making a 5/5 Worm token from the Convergence and passes. Sammy draws, plays a Swamp, and just recasts Zurgo. Jan's main phase has him upticking Yojimbo, which exiles the Sandworm Convergence. He then plays a Port Town tapped, and follows up with Bread for the Hunt, before moving to combat. He puts a +1/+1 counter onto Yojimbo from the Fight Rigging, and moves another loyalty counter from Yojimbo onto Tidus. And then sends Tidus at me, and Yojimbo at Sammy. Sammy chumps with a Vampire token, and I chump with a Sprouting Goblin, and Jan then passes turn. My main phase has me casting Mightform Harmonizer, and I then play a Scalding Tarn and double its power, and then tap it to station Hearthhull. I then crack the Scalding Tarn, going to find an untapped Stomping Ground, and double Hearthhull's power as well. I then swing Hearthhull at Sammy, dealing 12. After combat, I cast Night's Whisper, drawing 2 and losing 2. Ben's got a Demolition Field as his land drop, and gets to Manifest Dread. He then cracks the Myriad Landscape, going to find 2 islands, and he flips up a Print Lifter Ooze and a Root Elemental. This has Ben making 2 Ooze tokens, and he gets to put Temur Warshaman into play off the Root Elemental trigger. He then plays another island and flips up Thousand Winds, bouncing all tapped creatures and making another Ooze token. The Temur Warshaman has the Thousand Winds fight Zurgo, and Ben then moves to combat. He swings the Root Elemental and a Worm token at Sammy, who blocks both of them with a Vampire token, and Ben then ships the turn. Sammy just draws, plays a Bloodstained Mire, and casts Yawgmoth. Jan draws, taking up Yojimbo in his main phase and playing a Sungrass Prairie. He then casts Promise of Loyalty, which has Sammy responding by sacrificing his vampires to Yawgmoth to put 3 -1/-1 counters onto AC and draw 3 cards. With the last one in the stack, Ben responds by cracking Demolition Field and targets Jan's Nesting Ground. They both go and find a land, with Ben manifesting Dread. Ben then casts Entis Restoration and gets 3 more lands because he has Ferocious basically met. He gets to draw off of AC as well, and flips up a Forest, and then Ixodron, with Ixodron fighting the Charismatic Conqueror because of the Temur Warshaman. Ben's final flip then reveals a Whisperword Elemental, which he then sacrifices, and Sammy responds to that by cracking his Bloodstained Mire, and then discards a card to Yawgmoth to proliferate AC's counters, taking it out, and also proliferates on Yojimbo's lore counters to finish it off as well. Jan in turn makes 2 treasures from this, and we then each keep 1 creature that can attack Jan. Ben also gets to manifest 4 times because of the Whisperwood Elemental, and Jan then recasts Tidus, putting a counter onto it with Fight Rigging and passing turn. I draw and recast the Mightform Harvester, and then play a Petrified Field, doubling Hearthhull's power again. I then hit Ben for 12 with Hearthhull. I then follow it up by casting Braids, Arisen Nightmare, and I go to my end step. I sacrifice a Clue token to Braids, and draw 3 while each opponent takes 2, since they don't want to sacrifice an artifact. Ben draws and casts Tatiova, and follows up with an Oracle of Moldiah. He then plays Cabaret Courtyard, and gets to manifest Dread, and draws a card and gains a life from Tatiova, and then sacrifices the Courtyard to go and find a forest. He gets to draw a card again, and flips face up Cauldron of Souls, and he then activates Mossware Bridge, casting Vanifar Evolved Enigma. Ben then goes to combat, and cloaks a card, and sends 4 manifest creatures at me. I block one of them with Braids, and take the rest. After combat, Ben then plays an island, flipping up Temur Warshaman, and attempts to fight Tidus, but Jan responds with Path to Exile, and takes out the Shaman. Ben then follows up by casting an Oblivious Bookworm, and ships the turn to Sammy. Sammy draws and plays an Exotic Orchard, and then casts a Talisman of Hierarchy, and then a Talisman of Conviction. He follows up with Bastion of Remembrance, and then a Marionette Apprentice, fabricating a 1/1 servo token as it comes in. Jan's main phase has him casting Summon Choco Mog, and he follows up with a Collective Effort. He taps the Choco Mog to escalate, and puts a counter onto each of his creatures, and targets the Bastion of Remembrance to be destroyed. Sammy responds by sacrificing his Soldier token and Servo token to put 2 -1/-1 counters onto the Choco Mog, and drains us as well from the Bastion. Jan then moves to combat, putting a +1/+1 counter onto the Choco Mog, thanks to Fight Rigging, and he gets to cast Yuna off of Fight Rigging as well. He ships the turn after that. I draw, sacrificing Petrified Field, and dealing 2 to each of my opponents with Hearthhull, and get back the Scalding Tarn. I then play the Scalding Tarn, doubling Hearthhull's power, and follow up with Corvold. I sacrifice a clue as it enters, drawing a card and giving Corval to counter. I then sacrifice my Scalding Tarn, finding Sheltered Thicket, and dealing 2 to my opponents, and double Hearthhull's power once again. I then hit Ben with Hearthhull to take him out. I then move to my end step, sacrificing a clue to Braids. Jan and Sammy decide not to sacrifice anything, taking 2, and I draw 2. Sammy's turn has him drawing and casting Demonic Tutor. He follows up with Lolth. He then downticks her to make 2 spider tokens, and passes. Jan draws, ticking up Chocomog. He casts Gyre Sage, and activates Yuna to help cast Summon Titan. This is Jan milling 5, and the Gyre Sage gets to evolve. He then moves to combat and puts a +1/+1 counter onto Yuna with Fight Rigging, and he moves a lore counter off of Choco and Mog to Tidus. He then ships it after that. I draw, playing out a Canyon Slough, doubling Hearthhull's power again. I then cast Mutinous Massacre, which has Sammy responding by sacrificing everything but Yawgmoth, and puts 3 -1/-1 counters onto my commander. He then discards a card to Yawgmoth and proliferates, and takes Hearthhull out of lethal range for him at least, and I then choose Odd off the Massacre. Everything that's odd is destroyed, and I get to steal everything that's even. I then swing Hearthhull, the Gyre Sage, and Yawgmoth at Sammy, and the Mightform Harmonizer at Jan. Before damage, I sacrifice Yuna to Yawgmoth, and Sammy gets taken out from damage, and Jan takes 4. After that, I pass turn. Jan draws and recasts Tidus, and then follows up by casting Walking Ballista, putting 1 into the X's. Jan then gets to put a +1/+1 counter onto the Walking Ballista with Fight Rigging, and he gets to move a counter off the Gyre Sage onto the Ballista as well, thanks to Tidus. He passes after that. I draw, casting a Mayhem Devil, and then a Spitfire Lagak. I activate Hearthhull, sacrificing a land to draw 2, and deal 3 to Jan total from the Mayhem Devil and the Hearthhull ability. I then place a Sur Secundi, and double the Mightform Harmonizer's power. I swing the Harmonizer at Jan, who blocks with the Gyre Sage, and I then pass turn. Jan draws and casts an Incubation Druid, and then a Rampant Rejuvenator. He moves to combat, and moves a counter from the Rejuvenator onto Tidus, and also puts a counter on Tidus with Fight Rigging, and then sends his commander at me. I just jump with the Mayhem Devil, and Jan passes. Instead of drawing for turn, I dredge back life from the loam, and then cast it to get back Scalding Tarn, Petrified Field, and Canyon Slough. I then play the Tarn, pinging Jan for 1, and doubling the Harmonizer's power. I then crack the Tarn, dealing 2 to Jan with the Hearthhull, and then 1 with Lagak as the land comes in, and double Lagak's power. I follow up by casting World Soul's Rage for 3, and target Jan's face. This deals 3 to him, and I get 3 lands from my graveyard, which in turn deals another 3 from Lagak. I then activate Hearthhull, sacrificing myself for Springs, and deal the last 2 points of the damage to win the game. Game review time. Big thanks to Jan from the Spike Feeders for coming out and joining us for a couple games when he was here for a wedding. And it was cool to see his Tidus deck, which is mostly the precon with a few slight tweaks to make it more thematic. However, Hearthhull proves once again how strong the deck is, and I think my favorite card this game was probably the Mutinous Massacre. It's a board wipe, it's an insurrection effect, it's awesome. It's my pick for the best card of the game, but I could be wrong, so let me know in the comments down below. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.